Welcome back to the final part of the conference. We are almost there. Soon we're going to be hearing from the fearless whistleblower from the Netflix documentary Sweet Bobby, Correct Asi, she will share her story on the resilience of justice. Her journey of overcoming deception and reclaiming her voice is both powerful and inspiring. But before that, we do have one more panel. A powerful group of women with the topic of excelling in your space as a minority. We're going to be discussing how to overcome barriers and build confidence to thrive in any industry or environment. Please join me in welcoming my panelists. We have Neal, founder and chief program creator at Valued at Work, Chloe Davies from It Takes a Village Collective, Louise Lyons-Appiah, EDI speaker and consultant, and Noor Ali from P&B Foods. Welcome. Gonna fill the gap. Let's go. Musical chairs. Welcome here. We'll just do some quick introductions. We'll just go based on the screen. So Lauren, if you want to introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Lauren Neal. I have worked in the energy sector for almost 20 years as a project engineer turned project manager. I'm also a chartered engineer. And 2 years ago, I released my first book, Valued at Work, shining a light on bias to engage, enable, and retain women in STEM. It became an Amazon bestseller and was a finalist in the Business Book Awards and the Leadership Book of the Year.
Thank you. Hello.
Hi, everyone. My name is Chloe Davies. I am founder and CEO of It Takes a Village Collective, which is a social impact agency and global hub for Black women in Adland. I do a lot of stuff.
Don't we all?
I am mum to two wonderful neurospicy boys. I also have ADHD. I'm a mental health advocate, so I'm an ambassador for Mental Health First Aid England. I'm on the exec for WACL. I'm head of finance governance for UK Black Pride. I don't really know how to do less. And yeah, I think that's all the ones that I'm bringing today.
Nice. Louise is clapping for everyone. I love it.
I'm going to be a hype woman.
Yeah.
I feel like there's not been enough hype for everyone who's gone today, and I just feel like it's really, really important that we lift each other up. So this is going to be a hype panel.
Yes.
But my name is Louise Lyons-Appiah. I'm the founder of the first youth-led equality, diversity, inclusion consultancy. I have to plug myself. We're exhibiting today for the first time, so that's really exciting. But how did I get into that? So I started a student-led initiative when I was at university talking about mental health, equality, diversity, inclusion, and personal development. And then I realised, well, how do I get paid to do this rather than making it a passion project every single day? And I started, finding ways to engage organisations in that space because I think that work is really important. I've been freelancing, I've got my own clients, and now starting this consultancy just to have difficult conversations and create organisations that feel like they have a community of belonging.
Amazing. Whoop. Don't forget the clap. Noor.
Hi, everyone. My name's Noor Ali. I'm Senior Commercial Manager at a food-based company in Bradford, P&B Foods. My background is mainly in the retail industry. So going back many years, but in fact back to 2007, I created what is called the World Foods category in the stores today, in the retailers. So won many awards for doing the work there. And then I've done that again in another retailer. And in my spare time, I am a mum as well. My kids are grown up now, one's married. But I also do a lot of work outside. So I do a lot of mentoring. Having been through quite a few challenges, which I'm sure we're going to talk about today, and getting through them, I also mentor women. I mentor prisoners. I've got my own initiative in prisons. I mentor children through organisations, and I also mentor charities.
Amazing. Thank you. Okay, so getting straight into it, we're talking about excelling in your space as a minority. I first want to touch point on what are some of the unique challenges that minorities face in the workplace. So get the what in, and then we can go into the why and how to tackle it afterwards. Who wants to go first? Chloe?
Yeah, I've got the mic, so I'll go first. So basically, I think one of the major challenges is leadership. So where they're not fully trained as leaders and how to deal with colleagues. And the example I'll give you is I've had on a couple of occasions where they're not able to share my success. And that's been a problem for them. I won't go into the how and what we've done about it, but that is really does affect your work, affects you mentally, and it really makes life pretty miserable at work as well. So, but I'll talk a little bit about how we got through it.
Yeah, you both were cool.
Yeah, so I think to do that, I think that you've got to be brave enough. And to talk about these things and to take that leader. I took the leader to one side, sat them down, talked to them and said, what is it? How is it? Let's talk about this. And what I started doing was involving them a lot more in what I was doing and getting them to go to sessions with me, meetings with me. So it made them a very much part of it. It is hard to see others succeed, but, it's as leaders, that people's success, so any colleagues under you, their success is a leader's success. And as a leader myself now, when I see others thrive, that's what makes me happy.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think for me, I just want to start off by doing, I guess, a tiny little activity. So put your hands up if you've ever experienced imposter syndrome in your career. Okay, yeah, pretty much everyone in the room. And I think, that's one of the challenges that so many of us face. And 70% of people in the UK will suffer with imposter syndrome, but that statistic flies up when you're talking about women, and then it flies up when you're talking about women of colour or women with disabilities. So we have to think about it intersectionally as well. But that's something that I really, really struggled with as a teenager and thinking about kind of the world of work and when I was getting into university. And I just had so much fear and anxiety about just being really mediocre, not having any kind of talents or speciality, or people just like not wanting to, I guess, like utilize me in any way. I felt very kind of useless. And that led to me kind of not putting myself out there until I found a community of people who were kind of able to encourage me and leaning on those people and leaning on them as allies. But I think imposter syndrome is what stops people from kind of excelling in their space because, they're scared to kind of go for that promotion, or they're scared to, take on that project because they feel like they'll, mess it up. And I think we talk about the glass ceiling, but there's, what's the term when it's like you put a woman in the position of power because you feel like they'll fail? Does anyone know what that was? Cliff edge, that one. So I think, we have all these expectations that, I do a lot of work in schools, and a lot of the 13-year-old boys will tell me, women just don't make good leaders. Like, they just, they can't do it, or they can't hack that level of responsibility. They're getting it from these influencers. I won't name any names, but you know who I'm talking about. And so it's all those stereotypes that we have to kind of battle against, and those stereotypes get internalized, and then that's when imposter syndrome kicks in. So we can talk about, how to overcome that in a bit. But that's the biggest challenge I see.
What about you, Claire? What do you think?
I'm a black woman.
Yep.
So, I'm showing my age, but there used to be a show on MTV called MTV Diaries, and the tagline was "You think you know, but you have no idea."
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that we're having a reality of what the idea is in modern society today.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was a little bit different.
Okay.
My mum was the first black department manager for John Lewis Partnership. She worked at Peter Jones and Sloane Square, and I watched her for 16 years do the job and not get the title. And be told time and time again, you're not ready yet, just work a little bit harder, do a little bit of this. And so I'm the opposite of Nepo baby. I wish that it was, a nice ride. They basically said, look, you're legally allowed to work. You start on Saturday. We've got 2 rules. Don't embarrass me and don't chat my business. My mum's Nigerian. She came to the UK when she was 5. And so we call her the Black Hyacinth Bouquet on purpose, because it was in one aspect, but this is important because in one aspect was when she was around, Yoruba family, she was one person.
Yeah.
But when she was in the workplace, she was the epitome of who they wanted her to be.
Exactly.
And so when I became Peter Jones' youngest trainee section manager at 17, the last rule was the unspoken one, which was, I don't know you. And my mum was the first person that went, I don't know you, not because she didn't love me, but because she had been pitted against so many different women and trained to be this person that she couldn't even see her daughter thriving. And this is the reality of what it's like for women of colour, black women, black and brown women, wherever we are. And so for me, it was like, well, I mean, I'm a Virgo, I'm stubborn, that's not going to be my thing. And, constantly telling myself, not my circus, not my monkey, but being in situation after situation where, I was trying my absolute best, doing the work because I knew I was good enough and worked hard to be so, and then was getting told time and time again, actually, do you know what, it won't work, it won't work, it won't work. And oftentimes causing harm to others along the way because you didn't understand that was what it was about. And so for me, I learned how to move in stealth mode. The thing that I always say, which I remind myself on a regular basis, is to navigate your surroundings, and that sometimes it doesn't always have to be you. And the greatest gift of, I guess, being the minority, although I prefer the word marginalised, because there's nothing minor about me, is that for a very long time, I thought I always had to be the loudest one with my own voice. I had to be the person that took control of my own voice. And I learned the beauty of stealth mode was having somebody who could take my name into rooms that I might never get in. And so for me, and especially at ITAV, I always say, I hate the word ally and I hate the word disruptor because they've been co-opted and weaponized. I always say champions. And my greatest champions, unless they're trying to sleep with me, and you have to understand the construct of power, is usually a white man, because a white man will go, oh God, she's going to make me money. Yeah, go ahead. And it wasn't always that case. I'm being specific to that specific reason, but it was finding someone who saw a version of myself that I hadn't yet met yet, and letting that person take me wherever I needed to go and not being afraid. And I think that's the thing that I've learned is to practice that. And no matter how senior, how high I got, is to continue to keep doing that. I think that's the thing that my mum never had. And I think it's the thing that in all those years, like 28 years later, I'm still trying to make sure that black women in our industry at least get.
Yeah. I would definitely want to deep dive into something you've just said before. And Lauren, any other challenges that you feel like are unique that people face as marginalised?
So when I think of my experiences, I mean, I've had, if I think one of my earlier ones, where I was sitting in a room full of men, because again, energy sector, I'm an engineer, sitting with this project team, and the new person comes in beside me and says, oh, are you his secretary? And I'm like, no, I'm the umbilical delivery manager. Does anybody here know what an umbilical is? So it's connecting subsea equipment from oil platforms hundreds of meters subsea. So you're controlling the valves, opening and closing them, and so on. So that was what I was doing. I was delivering this kit from suppliers. But no, they thought I was the secretary. I've had times where I've joined a new team and they feel the need to explain my job to me. And it's saying, Lauren, when you're in a bid situation, you need to make sure you tell all the suppliers the same thing. I'm like, thank you very much. I've been doing this for 15 years. Because they take one look at me and I look different. I turned 40 last year and apparently I don't look it. I'm mixed race. I'm half Indian, half white. I grew up in Aberdeen, Scotland. People don't think I'm Scottish. But it's bias. I walk in the room and people just take one look and there's a judgment, there's a view that they have in their mind. And I used to think it was just me. And then I started sharing my stories. And I started speaking to these wonderful women and men in a lot of cases who were not like the others. And you'd hear all these stories, and then you started seeing the similar traits about those who were given the deputy manager role, but not the manager role. Or you're the champion for respect, or the continuous improvement champion. personally, and it's not champion that you were meaning it, I hate those roles because you're given it on top of your current job. It's usually given to someone who is marginalized or the youngest person on the team. They get zero support for it. And then their brand seems to be, you're just the annoying one who's going to ask me to fill in a table every month or something. And it does nothing for them. Those, honestly, I think those are such big barriers. It's the bias, it's the systemic issues that happen all over these workplaces where it's so easy to overcome, but only once you recognize it's there. So I'm still on a mission of just shining a light on what's really happening here and how it's affecting people, because we can't change it unless you understand it.
So true. And all of these points are amazing, and just based deep diving into what you said, Chloe, and you did touch on it as well, Lauren. We're saying here that you kind of almost have to like context switch. Everyone knows that you might be a different person in the office than you are at home. How would you say someone, or if you was to give advice to someone, or how you either have balance staying true to yourself, but whilst almost still fitting in that environment with different cultures and different people? How do you do that? Because obviously you want to bring your true, authentic self to work, but you do that sometimes and then you get backlash for it. So if we're talking about excelling, what's some advice that you would say to be able to navigate those situations?
I mean, I've done a lot of things. I worked in a lot of different industries. I've been using the kind of topic of the matrix for the last year because it's the thing that makes the most sense to me. It was also written by a black woman. If you understand that you are always unplugged and that you could do anything you put your mind to, that you weren't the kind of role of Silas, if you just behave, you just do what you're told, if you just plug in, you'll just be like everybody else. If you understand that the more marginalised you are, the more layers that you carry. Everybody needs a character of Morpheus, someone to tell you, now do you believe? Trinity is not the relationship. Trinity is self-love. And especially, for myself as a black woman, how I love on myself, that I could do anything I wanted to do as long as I put my mind to it, as long as I had great people. And that sounds flaky, and wishy-washy, but that's actually where it starts. It starts with you, and most of us don't get an opportunity to really hold the mirror up and see ourselves. I could lie and say, it's easy, it's not. It's really beep hard. And you're constantly reminded by people who want to give you the example of who they think you are, and not the reality that you are. So the thing that I always say is what I look like and what I sound like are two very, very different things. I'm quite happy to be underestimated. It's normally the thing that's going to happen. In fact, that's the place where I get to have some fun. I'm like, I wish you well. And to find your tribe, I had a really hard year in 2023 for a lot of different reasons. And the thing that I told myself at the beginning of last year was that it was my mindset. Every day, I just had to give 1% more than the day before, even if it was a -5, -10, -50, or the other way, but to just keep loving and finding the other people that love on. And that's the only way that you can excel at anything. When you hurt yourself as a parent with your children and, they cry, you kiss it better and then you kind of keep it moving. And I think the landscape is changed, but I'm not going to lie and say, do you know what, it's really, really easy, because it's not.
Yeah.
Your process is going to be personal and individual to everyone. But for me, and I saw it earlier on one of the signs that was on the 360, I was like, you're a baddie. And I was like, yes, I am. And it's the thing, it's just like the self-affirmation and the loving on yourself, I think is the only way that you excel. Because, how are you going to get somebody else to love you if you can't love
yourself?
So I remember, trying to get up to the next level, and my manager said to me, Noor, you need to... So I don't drink, I don't go to pubs. But if you want to get up the ladder, Noor, you're going to have to go out and go meet your colleagues and go out for a drink and speak with them and talk to them. And I'm saying, is that what we've got to do to get up the ladder? I can't believe that. It's just... I can't
that easy.
And I never did. But what I would say, and what I say to people I mentor, is, be yourself and change others. don't change yourself for others. You don't need to. You are who you are. You're the best, and follow your dream, follow what you want to do. People use the word tenacious with me because I will speak my mind. I will say how it is. Another example I'll give you is that I was told, no, you need to be a yes man. Well, I don't do yes, and I'm not a man. So I'm definitely not going to get anywhere with that one, am I, really? So I think, you've got to change others. You've got to let people believe in you, and you believe in yourself first, and let them change. And if they want you, if you're the right person and they want you, it'll be their loss, not yours.
Amazing. Louise, you touched on your journey a bit. I'm curious to think what you, with your experience and how women or any marginalised groups can build confidence in thriving in those areas where they are, if they're a woman, male dominated, if they are a person of colour, white dominated. How can you build confidence? Because ultimately, the points that we're touching on, that is really key here.
Yeah, I think it's about kind of looking within and finding out, why you might be lacking in confidence. For me, it was looking at my past experiences, and, that has been the catalyst for all the kind of negative thought patterns I've had about myself and the lack of self-confidence. So when I was younger, I grew up in an extremely white community. I was very different for obvious reasons. And I faced quite severe bullying to the point where I don't actually share this much. I share it in talks, but to the point where I was actually physically attacked by people when I was in year 7 at school, and that really kind of shook me because it's a very scary thing when you're kind of singled out for being different, but not just singled out, but basically forced to be this is not okay, and it's kind of wrong that you're different. And I kind of didn't realise how much I was sitting with those sorts of experiences that I'd faced, and the way they were holding me back. And I definitely kind of tried to mould myself, the hair, the way I looked, the way I spoke, tried to mould myself to basically becoming a white girl, because that's what I thought would get me places in life. That's what I saw, the representation. I was like, oh, that should be me. But then I slowly started to kind of build more confidence with my authentic self, because like you're saying, Chloe, it's all about self-love. And I guess I started to love who I was by surrounding myself with people who loved me and showed me that love and told me that that it was okay that I was different, and in fact they loved that about me. And so I think it's about that mentorship piece, finding people who are going to be your hype people, who are gonna help you to build that confidence if you don't have it in yourself, and trying to, I guess, tackle your inner demons in any way you can, and just I think one quote that really stands out to me is around kind of looking at your past experiences and realizing that you have a stack of experiences that show that you're capable, and that just, that gives you confidence. For example, I had to make a website for my company last week because my co-founder put it on the business cards for today. So I was like, oh my God, okay, I have to do this website. And I was like, how am I going to do a website? But then I realized there were so many times in the past where I've had to do super creative things in the last minute, because that's just what a group project was, or I had to do it. And I just thought, okay, what experiences are going to help me here? Okay, cool, I can do this in a week. Just building that confidence by looking at that undeniable stack of proof that you can do it.
Yeah, that's great. Lauren, what about you? What do you think are some ways people can build confidence in areas where they are maybe the marginalised group?
I always encourage anyone that, I say mentor, but sponsor, or even I just chat with a lot of people. I'm a talker.
Same.
Write it down. When take the time and think about, what did I do this week that was awesome? What did I do this month or this year? And start building up your own catalogue of things that you have done very, very well. Anytime someone sends you an email or sends you a text or whatever that says you've done a good job, write it down, screenshot it, file it somewhere, because you will absolutely have bad days where you feel like, what is the point? I'm feeling invisible. I'm feeling no. I just wish somebody would put me in a role where they could see what I could do. That sort of thing. That you want to be able to open this up and go, you know what? Maybe it's not me or maybe it's just square peg in a round hole, as I like to say all the time. Sometimes the fit just isn't there, and it's time to move. That could mean move job, move company, move industry, start your own business. So many options available to you. But then it'll come back to, well, what do I want to do? And you've got to be able to speak confidently about that. And then you go back to your catalogue. Okay, what am I good at? And rather than at that point when you're really worried, having to rack your brain and going, okay, I think I'm good at this, I think I'm good at that. No. You've got evidence. Keep your own evidence. And like I say, it doesn't need to just come from external validation. You'll know yourself when you've done a really good job. Like your website might be on your list of evidence now.
Yeah. I think that's really important and definitely agree with that. I screenshot any text message my friends, family, when I put a little album. Sometimes I'm not feeling too great, just look through and it makes you realise that like people are proud of you. And often like sometimes your biggest like kind of barrier is yourself because you always put yourself like down before you even tried. I want to move back onto the point you mentioned about mentorship. We've sponsored mentorship, championing, allyship. It's so important. In this specific topic, in a space as a minority, how important is that role? Like when empowering minorities to succeed, we need mentors, we need people in those rooms. Could you maybe touch any of you on those points of how important it is, and or some examples that you've had experience of why someone has been able to be that person for you?
I'll start and then I'll move it over. But I've had times in my career when I felt like I was absolutely soaring. Like I could speak to people, it didn't matter how senior they were in the company, and it was easy. And then I've had times in my career, not long afterwards, where it was like I was in a place where all the doors around me were shut, locked and bolted. And I couldn't speak to people. I was basically being told, stay in your lane. And it's hard. And what I realized was it was the sponsorship that was missing. When earlier in my career, when I had those opportunities, I didn't know at the time, but there was someone speaking on my behalf saying, she'd be really good at this, give her this opportunity, she needs a stretch. What I've learned since then is that these people don't just come along. You can go and ask them. Go and look in your community, in your organization, and go and say, who are the leaders that you actually like? Who are the ones that have traits that you aspire to? And who are the ones who are in the room that you want to be in? And you build the relationship with them. It's not a one and done. This is a regular thing. At least once a quarter, you want to be checking in with this person. Make sure they know who you are, what you like, what you want. And then over time, then you say, oh, you know, if there's a role coming up like that, I would be very interested. How would you suggest I go about doing this? They will give you feedback, and they will also go and work in the background. And I've seen it time and time again. So I know this works.
Great advice. Chloe?
Avengers Assemble. I'm an 80s comic book kid, but it really is true. Like my network is my net worth.
Yeah.
And LinkedIn has been the place where like some of my best relationships, and not realizing that they were my best relationships, have come from. But also like the work that I've been able to do. And so just like really, really quickly, because the really amazing lady from Channel 4 was on before. And so I've done a lot of jobs that most people don't actually realise, because it wasn't for clout, it was about the work. But I helped write the strap for Black to Front with Channel 4. Mm. And I helped make the Virgin Atlantic adverts. They're my children. Mm. And it's that part of sometimes not the person not being in the room is also letting your work speak for itself, and not sponsorship is actually the opportunity to do great things rather than look at me. And that's also a really, really great difference, is finding people that understand your skill set in the work that you do and can give you great opportunities. Or as a really good friend of mine did before I got my role at a creative agency, and I hate asking about money. I just can't do it. I can sell you the dream, I can't ask for the cash. And he said, we were doing salary negotiations, and he said, oh, you know, Chloe, what would you be happy with? And I gave him a figure. And he said, I hate to tell you to think like a white man, but think like a white man and add 10K. And I was like, no, I can't do it. He says, a gay white man, Chloe, add 10K. I added the 10K, and I was like, they're never going to say yes. I should have added 20. And so it's that part. It's also having someone that you can just go, are you sure? And those are the different things. But yeah, it's definitely Avengers Assemble and the people that you've got around you to keep it real with you.
Amazing. Louise?
I completely agree. I'm 24, so I've just kind of really entered the workforce, and I'm self-employed, so there's a lot of barriers there. That's hilarious because me and money, I'm like, yeah, like maybe just like it's much money, and like maybe I don't know, like maybe I'll do it for free, like I don't know, like just chatting. I'll make it up on the spot. But I've had some amazing mentors who have been like, Louise, like why don't you just pretend like send an email with like admin at so it feels like it's not you, and then you just add however many zeros to it. Done that, it works. It's great. And yeah, I've had some, for example, a charity I work with, a youth mental health charity that I'm on the youth board of. The CEO she took me onto her wing and has just been incredible. Like she's the reason that my business exists. She gets me so many opportunities, and because we've generally striked up like a relationship. Like she feels like my mum almost in situations. She's like, she just cares about me being able to thrive and me having the confidence in myself. And she's done so much just on the side, or like if I'm like stressed about something, I call her and she's like, don't worry, like we can do this. And any time of day, like she just knows so much about me. And again, like when you're looking at mentoring, they can't just know about your career life, they got to know about your personal life. Because, that's going to affect your self-confidence. It's going to affect so much about what you do when it comes to work. So and that's also what I do a lot of work with young people in schools. So I love being able to kind of go in, do talks, and be able to inspire people. And I just love it when a bunch of 11-year-olds come up to me and they're like, yeah, but like, how did you do that? And like, I'm like, yes, like this is the feeling. This is just the amazing feeling you get when you're able to kind of help someone that was once you, being able to look back and just think, well, if I had a me, I would have been here quicker, or these changes would have happened. So, we always have to be doing what we can to help the people around us, and to look to the people who are going to be like our heroes, our best friends in the moments when we need them, and can kind of just rally around us. And also, like, I was really excited about this panel because when we got on our kind of initial pre-call, I was like, yay, more mentors, more
connect
to help support me. Exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, no, you feeds really nicely onto my point, and I'll go to Noor for your answer in this. In that we spoke about, if you can see it, you can be it.
Yeah.
Hold the elevator down. And when you mentioned about those children, I think it's so key that when we're talking about excelling in these spaces, not only breaking the glass ceiling or whatever it is, but holding that elevator down for like our younger generation. So what are some of the things that you would say that you want to help to be able to be that role model for the children of the future? Noor, what do you think?
Look, mentorship is free. Yeah, finding a mentor takes a bit of time, and some may say no, but it's okay. And have as many mentors as you want. And just to sort of clarify the difference, mentors are the listeners. They're the ones that are going to be the ear for you. They're going to listen to you, give you some advice. The sponsors are the ones that are your, they're your brand ambassador. They're going to be putting your name forward about there. And the other thing is the coach. So somebody where you need training, you need a coach to help you do that training. But mentorship is free. And what I'd say to you, everybody has skills, everybody has experiences, everybody has challenges. When was the last time that you helped mentor somebody else? When did you mentor someone? When, you see colleagues at work and you see them down, have we approached them and said, would you like to have a coffee? Okay, it might be just costing a coffee, but that could go a long way for somebody. So mentorship is absolutely key. And becoming a mentor yourself and becoming a role model is really, really important, that we do go out there and share and have that confidence to go and tell people about what we've been through as well. And that's the way they learn. I've been stalked in my life for over 3 years. and it was a terrible, terrible time. But I will go to schools and I will talk to, especially when I go to the girls' schools, and I will talk about this. And I'll talk about what to look for, and you know, because that's where I went wrong. And that's the power of this, is helping others to achieve and through maybe things that you've been through in your life.
So true. I did an apprenticeship as like a route to going to uni, and one of the things that I like talk about is mentoring people or LinkedIn. So many people will message me, and I always make sure, oh my gosh, I need to reply to that person because I've actually completely forgot, because they see like the things that you do or whatever it is, and see you in corporations that they want to get into, and they really do now utilize LinkedIn as a platform to be able to be like, hey, any advice? And just a simple conversation, and people go, oh, hey, by the way, I got my apprenticeship, and it's the best feeling ever, helping other people. So I think I really resonate with your point. I don't know, Louise, if you were going to say something on that as well.
I think character is everything. Like, it's about actually who you are. I was talking to my co-founder, and we were talking about a specific person who has a terrible character, and people don't want to work with them because they're just like, no, I don't actually like this person. I don't think they are authentic. And I think the businesses that have brought me in, or I've been able to, you know, get amazing clients and do amazing projects and be in amazing rooms, is because people like me, because I'm myself, because I'm fun, because I joke around, because I'm willing to have like deep conversations the first time I meet someone.
Yeah.
And so it's all about kind of, you know, like, yeah, being yourself, but trying to be a good person, striving to be better every day. And not just like, we can't always be Jesus every single time, right? You're going to get annoyed. You're going to say something wrong. You're going to send an annoyed email because it's 7 o'clock in the... Ooh. Hello? Oh, yeah. Because it's 7 o'clock in the morning, you're tired, whatever it is. But you also got to be able to apologise and say, oh, sorry, this happened because X, Y, and Z. And people are always gonna wanna work with the people that can actually do that and apologise and do better, rather than like kind of fake people who are just doing it and, you know, are actually pretenders. So yeah, I think what I would say to young people all the time is just be yourself, be a good person, build on your character before you try and get into rooms, and just remember your why.
Mm-hmm. I think just conscious of time, I really want to kind of close the session by just going around all of you. Excelling in your space as a minority, what is the key piece of advice you'd say to anyone in the audience or just in general to give to basically excel in your space as a minority?
My personal tagline, trademarked, is keep it cute, keep it real. For that exact reason, you never know who's watching, and you never know when something's going to come back to you. And just on that point of LinkedIn, just because it happened just last week, I started as a little baby person on LinkedIn, and then last week was one of the 50 most inspirational Black women in marketing. And I say that because if you keep doing you and you keep pushing, someone will always see. It will always come back to you. So just keep doing you as best as you possibly can, and someone will notice. But that next generation, they're always looking to someone else who has got character and who is being bold. So don't stop.
Yeah. Lauren, what do you...
I'd say own your space. I see it all the time on the tube. You see a guy coming in, and they're like, spread out as far as they can go. Exactly. And then you see, and I see it. I watch the women, and they do this. I do it myself. You just kind of, because you don't want to bother somebody. You want to give them the arm room and all that. But no, own your space. It actually there's actually been studies that show the more space you take up, the more you actually feel confident. So there's something psychological there. So it's like, you're there, you deserve to be there. Don't question that. Own your space. Do the, what do they call it? The superhero pose. They say if you hold, I learned this on Grey's Anatomy, but apparently there's a TED talk on it.
What a shit.
Where you do the superhero pose and you hold it for about a minute. And it's been proven you will perform better and you'll be more confident. So, superhero poses. That's my advice.
Louise?
My last bit of advice, that was funny about like you never know who's watching. Last year I had the opportunity to meet the Prince and Princess of Wales, and Kensington Palace actually did a background check on me. And I swear to you, I had done a podcast saying some things about the royal family that were potentially, I was using some language. Thankfully, like, I was still able to go to the event, but like, seriously, you don't know who's watching you. I use LinkedIn all the time. You have to be careful about what you're saying, who you're talking to, because maybe one day you'll have a chance to meet the royal family, and don't F it up.
No.
Okay, I've been to Buckingham Palace too. Yeah, tea party to get my British Empire medal, which was amazing. But,
Wow.
But what I'd say to you is honestly boast about yourselves. You know,
Yeah.
think about all the fantastic things you've done, and what you're good at, and help others out there as well. Is the big advice I'd give you. You're amazing people, all of you, and help somebody else become amazing too.
Amazing. We give it a...
Thank you very much.